Hello and welcome to Sports Weekly on CN100. I'm your host, Perry Williams. And this week we switch to summertime mode, where we sit down one-on-one with some of the people that make up the wonderful world of Chicagoland high school sports. This week, Jim Blaney chats with Illinois' 2011 Ms. Basketball, Ariel Massengale from Bolingbrook. Jim talked with Ariel, her parents, and some of her friends and teammates for a special look at this future Tennessee Volunteer. Also, we'll show you highlights. We'll go away after the break. Jim Blaney talks with Ms. Basketball, Ariel Massengale. Sports Weekly will return right after this on CN100.
You're watching the Comcast Network, CN100 Chicago.
Welcome back to Sports Weekly on CN100. I'm Perry Williams. Last spring, Bolingbrook's Ariel Massengale was named Illinois' 2011 Ms. Basketball. The University of Tennessee recruit averaged 13.7 points, 6.3 assists, and 3.5 rebounds a game as she helped the Raiders win their third straight Class 4A state championship. Recently, CN100's Jim Blaney sat down with Ariel, her parents, and some of her teammates and friends to get a special look at this special student athlete.
Graduation is upon you, obviously, and with everything that you and your teammates accomplished over 4 years, when you look around this gym and you see state champions and you played on 4 teams that went to the state champion team, 3 that won, does it cross your mind that, wow, this is going to be kind of hard to leave?
Yes, it does often. I think about it and I see my teammates and they talk about going to work out and different things. And right now I feel like I'm not a part of anything because I'm no longer a Lady Raider and not yet a Lady Vol. And so just coming in here every day and, you know, knowing that I left a legacy and a mark on this program and this school, it makes me feel accomplished.
But your athletic success here in Bolingbrook goes back to when you were at Humphrey Middle School. And so at what point in your development as an athlete did you think, wow, I'm pretty good at this? So when did that first cross your mind?
Probably 6th, 7th grade. Just playing, I saw how fast I was and quick I was and could shoot and dribble, and looking at other people, I said I've come a long way from when I first started, and that's when I found the love for the game, and I realized that this might be something that I want to do with my life.
But and not many people know this, but you were an outstanding track athlete in middle school, and you're actually on a record-setting 4x100 relay team. Was there ever any thought in your mind of pursuing both basketball and track?
Not at all. Actually, my best friend Sierra in middle school, she said she wanted to run track 7th grade year, and I knew that if my dad found out that she was running track and I wasn't, that I was going to be in trouble. And so when she went ahead with it, I said, okay, come on, let's try it out. But I knew after that year, I said, I don't think this is for me.
Describe to me how your parents got you interested in sports and how they got you started and what they did along the way to help you get to where you're going.
Well, I had an older brother who's 10 years older than me, and he played basketball in different sports, and so I felt like I was always around something growing up. And my dad was head of Bolingbrook Community Basketball, and when I would be in the gym with him on Saturday and Sundays, I would just be in there dribbling, shooting. It's just something that I fell in love with, and just always being around it, watching it on ESPN and, playing it. And every time he came home from work, I wanted to go outside and shoot basketball. And so he never made me do anything or made me work out. It was always something that I asked him to do. And whenever I asked, he was always ready to, to go out there and play.
When I met David Tuck, which was ironic, the phone call was when I started the traveling program, we had 4 girls come out for the tryouts. Can't play with 4. I need at least 5. And through a mutual friend, David Tuck and I got together. He had 2 daughters. Oh, that's wonderful. I got 6. I can play now.
And you got a sub, too.
Yeah, exactly. So we're doing really good now. And then when I got to know Morgan and Taylor, and those kids love the game just as much as Ariel. I mean, they're students of the game and play the game hard, and we're going to teach them right. And so, they've learned the game the right way. I've always been very particular about fundamentals, how the game needs to be played. Didn't ask any questions, coach whatever you want to do, that's what we're going to do.
What is it like to watch your daughter play and have this much success?
It's been awesome. Time has gone by really fast. The whole time she's, playing, I can't cheer and holler and scream. I'm just kind of sitting there and, all my thoughts are on the inside, and let's do well and not get hurt, and let's make this shot and let's do this. You just make the right decision at the right, at the right time. Just But it's been great. It's been fun.
Talk a little bit about how this program works, because it's been unbelievably successful before you got into it, and it looks like it's going to be very successful after you leave. So there's an expectation of excellence, and there's an expectation of what you have to do to be part of this program. Give us a little indication of the mentality and the dedication and what you have to physically be able to push yourself to do to be a part of this basketball program.
It's a lot of hard work, you know, dedication on the court, and it's not just what we do in practice, but it's things that you do outside of practice, you know, the off season that makes you become the player that you want to be. And Coach Smith gives you a lot of, you know, starting points and instructions, and you have to take that further and take it as far as you want to take it. Also here, I mean, you have to treat basketball court like the classroom. Everyone on the team here has 3.0s, and education is something we take very important. We have a retake policy here at Bolingbrook, and there's no reason that you should, you know, fail in this program. And I just think we have the same mindset, basketball and academically, and that takes us further than a lot of others.
And I think it's just something when you wear Bolingbrook across your chest, you have to represent not just you, but your team, your community. You know, people are watching, you know, off the court and, you know, outside of school, people are watching you, and everything you do they associate with the Bolingbrook girls basketball team. I think it's just a great honor to be able to represent a school and a community like this.
You have to be extremely dedicated to playing this sport. Our level of practice is a lot higher than many other schools, so it's something, it takes a transition to get used to, but once you get used to it, it becomes natural, and that's just how we play.
You have to have self-determination and commitment to do this, because you have to think about the Badgers and the suicides and all the jump roping, like you said, and running hills. There's a lot that goes on behind, while people just think that, yeah, they just go out there and win, but there's a lot of work that has to be done to get there.
Are the games a relief?
Yeah, they are, because you get a day off of practice.
Let's talk a little bit about Basketball Matters. One of the things that's impressed me about your resume as a basketball player is that even though your role in the team changed over the 4 years you were here, your scoring average stayed almost exactly the same. How is that possible?
Just being consistent. My freshman year, I played the shooting guard, because we had Janisha Gerald as the point, and Coach Smith knew coming in at my size, I probably wasn't going to get any taller, and that at the next level, if I wanted to play big time, that I was going to have to play the point position. And that was something that I fought him with for a long time, because it wasn't something that I really wanted to do, because I mean, I like scoring the basketball and putting points on the board, but he just told me to understand, and he just kept telling me, you know, Ariel, if you want to be the best that you can be, this is something that you're going to have to do, you know, and I gave into it. And then, you know, sophomore year, I had Morgan Tuck come in, and, you know, Taylor Tuck that stepped up, and so I just could play consistent and, you know, and just do what I do.
Let's talk about Tennessee a little bit. I mean, I would think that almost every young lady who picks up a basketball and gets serious about playing basketball is like, wow, I'd love to go play at Tennessee. But you're actually getting to do it. So just describe for me the moment when Pat Summit said to you, you know, Ariel, I think you'd be a great fit here at Tennessee.
It was a dream come true. I remember the first time she came to Bolingbrook, I was nervous, because this is someone that I've always looked up to, always wanted to play for, and she was an icon. And the fact that she was coming, you know, out of her day and her busy schedule to watch me play the game that I love, and that I had the opportunity, it was just a blessing. And so when she asked me, I was shocked, and I didn't really know what to say at the moment. You know, I had to think about it, and, you know, I told her I would think about it and I would get back with her. And so after coming back home and, you know, weighing out my options, all the schools, and talking to my parents and grandparents and Coach Smith, you know, I found out that that was just the best fit for me, and it was something that I had to do.
And let's face it, if you're a young lady playing basketball and you're getting offered by Tennessee, you've got a lot of other schools that are either offering you or talking to you or saying, hey, so how difficult is that? Because you've also still got to play your high school season, you've also got to sort through, you know, your schoolwork, and then you've got, you know, obviously you got all these other, how do you keep that all sorted out?
Just staying grounded. With all that's going on, I had to realize that I'm still, you know, a 16, 17-year-old girl, and hanging out with my friends and going places. My parents, you know, they taught me how to set that apart, and, you know, it'd be nights where I can go out and have fun, and it'd be nights where we need to sit at home and we need to talk about this decision and really weigh out things and think about this. And, you know, so just staying grounded and doing different things, you know, that a regular kid would do, but still understanding that, you know, I have goals and I have dreams that I need to accomplish, and, you know, this is just the stepping stones to things that I have to do to get there.
And as I mentioned, you had other people talking to you and saying, hey, we'd love to have you come play here, but you have connections and you have some roots in Tennessee, don't you?
I do. My grandparents on both sides, aunts and uncles and cousins, are all in Tennessee, and it's always been a dream, and my grandparents are my heart, and being able to go back home and be close to them and able where they can see me on TV or come out to games was just something that I was very adamant in doing.
The wonderful thing about it, she's going home because, you know, our family, we're the only ones that's here. His parents, my parents, everyone else is in Tennessee. So she's going to be amongst friends and family. If I can't get there in, you know, an hour-and-a-half flight or whatnot, they can be there in no time. That helps a whole lot. I know it's going to be those nights I told her I'm probably going to miss her before she misses me. She might be knocking on the door in the middle of the night. Ariel, wake up. It's Mom coming to see you. But, yeah, just trying to enjoy these last few weeks.
I know something that she's always wanted to do is to play for the University of Tennessee and Coach Summin. And I've always admired her, again, growing up in Shelbyville, Tennessee, and watching the lady evolve program throughout the years. And so, again, when I think back to, you know, Ariel, when she picked the ball up, you know, I was just hoping she could get a scholarship to somehow pay for college one day.
Pass inside,
Another
picked off.
turnover.
Massengale will take it up and lay it in.
It's unfortunate that girls basketball in the state of Illinois doesn't draw a bigger crowd than it does. So you're going to be going from, you know, an average girls basketball crowd playing here in Illinois to full arenas in Tennessee, and Tennessee plays a nationally ranked schedule, which means you're playing against UConn and Duke and Stanford and Notre Dame and full arenas. Is that going to be a little bit strange?
Yes, it is. I mean, downstate we have a decent crowd, but it's nothing like the thousands that they average on a regular night. And I feel like I have got a little taste of that over in France, playing with the U17 World Championship team. We had a big crowd playing out there, but it does take something to get used to and get adjusted to. But I mean, that's just like the whole college atmosphere, and I have, you know, a great team that's going to, you know, keep me focused and keep my mindset, you know, focused on the game and not worry about them.
You brought up the next thing I wanted to go to is not only the fact, are you a premier basketball player, Illinois girls high school basketball, now going to the University of Tennessee, but you're also an international player now too. Just tell us a little bit about the experience of playing international basketball and getting that call to say, hey, we'd like you to put on a national uniform.
Ooh, that was a great day. Coach Smith told Morgan and I about it, I think after my sophomore year. And it was something I said, of course, you know, I would love to do that. Just being able to represent your country and playing the game that you love and traveling the world is just a great opportunity. I know a lot of girls that I talk to would love to be in my shoes, and so, you know, I take that with great pride and, you know, honored that I'm able to do something like that, and it's a lot of fun.
Describe what it's like for me the first time you went to a national, when you got invited to come to a national team camp, and you walk into the gym, and obviously you come in as one of the best high school basketball players in the state of Illinois, but every other girl in the gym is one of the best high school basketball players in her state. What is that like when you walk in with that collection of talent in one gym and you've got to compete for a spot again?
It's nerve-wracking. Usually trying out for teams here, you pretty much know everybody, and so you feel comfortable going into it, knowing where you stand. But going to something like that and having to compete against the girls, you know, best in the country that do the same thing you do and just are just as good as you, it makes the intangibles and whatnot more important, doing the little things that stand out at things like that. And so it's very nervous, you know, but until you get on that court, in between his lines, you know, it's all about business. And my dad always tells me that the other girls, they lace them up just like I do. And so just go out there and play, you know, and be the best that I can be.
Always ran into Whitney Young. Somewhere along the way, you were going to have to play Whitney Young. How did you prepare for those games? Because the teams knew each other so well. There were no secrets. You know, it was a matter of going out and playing and competing. Were they fun games to play in? Were they extremely difficult? What was it like, that experience playing against the team that you guys seem to play every year?
It was very fun. I mean, we've all known each other since the 5th grade when we started playing AAU against each other, and they were a team that we played, so we knew everything they could do and they knew everything we could do. And, you know, and those are the games that are fun to play in. Even though you know we're doing it, we know what you're doing, can we stop it? You know, and that's the question that you have going into all those games. And so being able to play against someone like them, you know, they're a great team. They have great players, you know, played against them and grew up with them, and be able to have bragging rights when the game is over. So they're a lot of fun, and we look forward to playing them every year.
you got to play the maximum amount of games 4 years in a row. What did it mean to you, the simple fact that you got to play deep into the season every year, go to the state championship game? Most kids would just give their right arm just to play in one. You got to play in 4 and you won 3 of them.
It was a blessing. Coming to a program like Bolingbrook, you know, that's what we do here, and it was something that I wanted to do coming in. My main goal growing up was just to win 1 state championship, and having the opportunity to win 3 and play in 4, you know, was a blessing. I was honored. It doesn't happen too often, you know, and I just, you know, thank God that I'm the person that it decided to happen to.
And I'm really going to put you on the spot now. Pick out just your #1 memory of a particular game playing in this program that you kind of look back on and say that was the best night to be a Raider.
I'll have their sophomore year, the state championship game against Whitney Young. They had just beat us the year before. We were still young sophomores. Morgan Tuck was a freshman, and they still had their same team back. And so, you know, they had Ashley Anderson, Portia Harris, and they had just lost their point guard. So it was interesting to see who would win that game. And I feel like we just came out there with a hunger and a fight, you know, that we were not going to lose. We just had that fire in our eyes, and we went out there and we ended up beating them 53-29. And we were the underdogs in that game, and going out there, you know, and taking them down was a huge accomplishment for us.
As we sit and talk today, Morgan has already determined that she's going to the University of Connecticut. You're obviously going to the University of Tennessee. For, you know, the past 15 years, those have been the 2 premier women's basketball programs in college in the country. So should we expect that somewhere down the road we're going to see the odd situation of you and Morgan being on opposite sides of the floor?
I hope so. It'll be the first time that it's ever happened in our career, but you know, those are things you look for. UConn and Tennessee are 2 of the best programs and top programs, and great players love to play against other great players, and so I hope so.
You going to drive it right at her?
I am. I am.
Go right to the basket. I don't care if you're in my way.
Yes.
And you expect a little contact, I would imagine, too.
Of course. You know, I might get her once, she might get me once, you know, but that's the way the game goes.
We're not going to, you know, go easy on each other because we've known each other most of our life, but I think it'll just be really fun, you know, get to talk like before the game, after the game, but, you know, we got to make sure that when we're playing, you know, we can't try to be too friendly on the court, but I think it'll be really fun.
What are you going to remember best about playing here and being a classmate and being a teammate of Ariel?
The most significant thing to me is Ariel's a winner. So whether we're in practice or if we're shooting around or playing 3-on-3, I know I want to be in Ariel's team because she's going to make sure we win. So winning has become natural to us. Like, we're so used to winning, it's almost devastating any time that we lose.
Which wasn't very often, by the way.
No, it wasn't.
I think she just really helped me become a better player. She's been a part of my life, most of my life, so she's made me a better person, and she's just a really good friend.
I'm going to miss her alive. That's my baby, you know, and so we're going to be empty nesters. And she's always been a daddy's girl, and the ball and being in gyms and watching games, I'm gonna miss that. Mom's trying to be tough the whole time through, but Dad's, you know, I've been telling everybody, no, I'm gonna lose it when I have to leave Knoxville and dropping her off that day. No doubt about it. She's been my heart, and she's been a joy. She's a great kid. Everybody's always complimented how nice she is, how cordial she is. But you know, when she steps on those lines, she's a beast. You know, and she's about winning, and that's what we've always talked about. And you love a kid who does whatever you ask them to do, and does it to the best of their ability. So she's my heart, love her to death.
As you go around this community, one thing Mayor Claire is very, very good at is getting the signs updated when the state girls basketball tournament's over. So any major road that comes into Bolingbrook, it says right there, home of the Bolingbrook Lady Raiders, and it's got the state champions all listed in a row. So when you drive around this community and you pass one of those signs, what thought comes to your head?
I made a mark. When I leave here, I hope that's something everyone always remembers. And I don't want them to remember just Ariel Massengale, you know, winning state championships, but I want them to remember that Bolingbrook Lady Raiders girls basketball team is great. And, you know, they not only do they do great things on the basketball court, but they do great things in the classroom and also in the community.
Thanks to Ariel, her friends and family, and Bolingbrook High School for letting us get a closer look at Illinois' 2011 Ms. Basketball. Well, that wraps up this episode of Summertime Sports Weekly on CN100. Be sure to join us in a few weeks when Mark Kruger sits down with Illinois' co-Mr. Basketball Ryan Boatwright at East Aurora High School. For the rest of the Sports Weekly crew, I'm Perry Williams saying thanks so much for watching and so long, everybody.